Muhammad, peace be upon him, before prophethood was known as an Amin and a trustworthy person. Even at that young age, he had friends, he had dealt with people, he had relatives, and he conducted business. And these virtues in him explicitly reflected on his noble soul and a personality of very exceptional qualities. Apart from the personal and praiseworthy qualities of Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, was well recognized as Amin and trustworthy before he became prophet. He had also a marked aptitude for archery, like his great ancestors Abraham Rahmatullah alayh, and Ismail Rahmatullah alayh. He showed great potential of becoming a good bowman. A powerful asset for this lay in the strength of his eyesight. Some initiatives he took before his prophethood prove his superiority upon others. He considered social, political, economic, and even the court system with an insight and good judgment far beyond the comprehension of the common man. His honest dealings were very popular. 25 years before declaration of the prophethood, he was being called the trustworthy and the forbearer. Patience was a great quality in Arab life. That to be poor and destitute was not bad, but to be devoid of courage and patience in hardships and a habit to show impatience and perturbation was detestable. He declared prophethood. An Arab researcher, Abu Dawood, writes that when Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, merchant promised to meet him at a place to discuss something concerning trade. The merchant forgot to keep the place at the time agreed upon. When 3 days later the merchant passed from the place of their meeting, the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, standing there to fulfill his part of the promise. Gold was very rare in Arabia. A gold coin weighing 5 grams was considered a great fortune by the Arabs. Discovery of America led to the widespread use of gold throughout the world. The Spanish, after discovering America, first took its gold to Europe and then exported it to Africa and later to Asia. In his youth, the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, worked for a merchant named Qais bin Zayad. He used to give his merchandise to Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, for sale at far off places. He would pay the Prophet from 15,000 to 2,000 gold coins to the merchant on his return. He could have usurped this huge amount if he wanted to and spent it the rest of his life in comfort. As he was an Amin, his accounts were always accurate. When he was leaving, Qais said, O Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace. May long life be bestowed upon you. I will never find a person among more gentle and more honest as you. During youth, whenever Muhammad went on a journey, the other merchants, considering his honesty, would request him to take their merchandise and deduct his wages from the profits. He did as told, but never took the wages on his own. Ibn Hanbal, in his book Al-Sanad, page 425, printed in 1368 Hijri in Cairo, he wrote and quote, whenever Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, returned from journey, he would ask about his friends, and if some were not financially sound, he would give some portion of his earnings to them in charity. Such an act at a time for a merchant of goods was indeed rare and another proof of his clear and pure character. In earlier period, the walls of Holy Kaaba were just about the height of a man, and there was no roof over it. Even when the door of the Holy Kaaba was locked, access was easy, and then there had been a theft of some treasure which was kept in a vault dug inside the building for safety. The nobles of Quraysh decided to rebuild Holy Kaaba and put a roof over it. The first man to lift a stone from the top of one of the walls was Makhzumite Abu Wahab, the brother of Fatima. She was grandmother of Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace. When Abu Wahab lifted the stone, it leapt from his hand and returned to its place. The chief of Makhzum, named Walid, who was the son of the now dead Mughira, took up a pickaxe this time and said, I will begin the raising for you. And going to the Holy Kaaba, he said, O Allah, fear not, we intend good. Thereupon he knocked down part of the wall between the black stone and the Yemenite corner of the south easterly wall. Adjoining the northwest side of Holy Kaaba, there is a small precinct surrounded by a low semicircular wall. This area is presently known as Hatim. The two ends of the wall stop short of the north and west corners of the house. The space within it is named Hijr Ismail Rahmatullahi Alayh, because the tombs of Ismail Rahmatullahi Alayh and Hagar lie beneath the stones which pave it. Abdul Muttalib so loved to be near the Holy Kaaba that he would sometimes order a couch to be spread for him in that hijr. When the walls were all down as far as the foundation of Ibrahim Rahmatullah Alayh, they came upon a large greenish cobblestones like the humps of camels, placed side by side. A man put a crowbar between two of these stones to lever one of them, but at the first movement of the stone, a quaking shudder ran through the whole of Mecca, and they took it as a sign that they must leave that foundation undisturbed. Inside the corner of the black stone, they had found a piece of writing in Syriac. They kept it, not knowing that it was until one of the Jews read it. Heavens and the earth, the day I formed the sun and the moon, and placed round about her 7 inviolable angels, she shall stand so long as her 2 will stand. Blessed 2 hills stand, blessed for her people with milk and water. Another piece of writing was found beneath the station of Abraham or Maqam Ibrahim Rahmatullah alayh. Makkah is the holy house of Allah. Her sustenance cometh unto there from 3 directions. Let not her people be the first to profane her. For rebuilding the holy Kaaba, Quraysh worked separately, clan by clan, until the walls were high enough for the black stone to be built again into its corner. A violent disagreement broke out amongst them, for each clan wanted the honor of lifting it into its place. The deadlock lasted for 4 days. The tension increased to the point where battle seemed imminent. The precinct around the Holy Kaaba was called a mosque. In Arabic, masjid is a place of prostration. Holy Kaaba was called mosque. The rite of prostrating oneself to Allah in the direction of the holy house had been performed there since the time of Abraham and Ismail. It was decided that the decision to place the black stone should be left to a person who enters the mosque first next morning. The first man to enter the mosque was Muhammad. May Allah bless him and grant him peace. He arrived with his first man to enter the mosque was Muhammad. May Allah grant him peace. His arrival was greeted by exclamations and murmurs of satisfaction. He is Ameen, said someone. We accept his judgment, said others. Bring me a clock, he said. He spread it on the ground, and taking up the black stone, he laid it on the middle of the garment. Let each clan take hold of the border of the clock. Lift it up, all of you together. When they had raised it to the right height, he took the stone and placed it in the corner with his hands. The resolution of placing the black stone or Hajar-e-Aswad in the corner of Holy Kaaba not only proves his superior judgment but also the trust placed by the elders of Quraysh on his wisdom, justness, ability and fairness. They held him in great esteem for his trustworthiness.